Awesome, and thank you for that. Hi, everyone. My name's Cubby Melinger. Before we always start, I always like to do a quick intro, just so you guys can get to know me a little more and see, just find out a little more about myself. So, as you can see here, I'm from beautiful Cleveland, Ohio, and I moved to Austin in 2013. I've been at ShipStation now a little over 4 years, and in that time, I've had 5 roles. My best friends are my corgis. Their names are Nori and Kimmy. Nori is a 2-year-old Pembroke Welsh, and Kimmy is a 3-month-old cardigan. And in my free time, I restore vintage Japanese motorcycles. So that is what I do for fun here. But we're going to go ahead and dive right into this now. So I always like to talk about how ShipStation can help. And the things that you can kind of set up with ShipStation. I think the first big thing that ShipStation really does for you and helps you with is consolidating. So with ShipStation, you can bring all of the various order sources you have, whether that be maybe you sell on Shopify, eBay, Amazon, your manual orders that you take like over the phone. However you do that, you can bring all of the orders and import them all from all your various selling channels and marketplaces into one account. On top of that, we completely understand that you're going to have multiple carriers and you're going to need to have all of those rates. On top of that, because we know you're going to be using multiple carriers, we also let you have multiple accounts per carrier. So that way, if you have 3 or 4 UPS accounts, maybe you have multiple businesses that you're running and you want to keep them separate, or you're doing fulfillment for another company, you can have all of the various accounts that you need, whether that's 6 UPS, 3 USPS, 2 FedEx. You can have those all connected simultaneously, give them nicknames, and even choose how you're going to automate and assign carriers in the carrier accounts. The other really nice thing is being able to manage your shipments and returns in one place. I think that's really nice because, especially in ShipStation, because we do this really neat thing called auto tracking, where when a label's created or a return label's created, we're going to go ahead and keep track of the order through its life cycle, which is really nice because you can just log in, look at a quick little icon, and you can see that it's the orders in transit, or it's en route to the warehouse if it's a return, things like that. So being able to manage both sides of the order lifecycle, whether that's an outbound shipment or an inbound return from one place, and easily keep track of it is really, really excellent. And on top of that, you can use it on any computer or device, and it's going to have all the same information because we are cloud-based. That even means Mac. And I know that's kind of a funny thing to hear, but a lot of softwares out there are still not cloud-based or Mac compatible. So yeah, it's really excellent to see. And on top of that, we have iOS and Android apps, so you can be on the go and still keeping up with your business from anywhere in the world. All right. So now that we've kind of consolidated all of our information that we need, our orders, our carriers, everything like that, what we're going to do now is start automating some of these decisions that we have to go through on a normal day-to-day basis. So you can go ahead and choose to automatically assign your carriers, your weights, your dimensions, things like which packing slip to use, which email to send. All of that can be easily automated through a series of automation rules, which is really nice. And those automation rules let you either apply it to all orders, or you can apply it to specific ones using a if this then that criteria. So if the order is, maybe being shipped domestically in the US and it weighs less than 16 ounces, we're going to go ahead and ship it USPS first class. And because that's the cheapest method for that still gets tracking. So yeah, you can set up a ton of different rules that use all those various criteria to take advantage of cutting out the amount of work you have to manually do. And on top of that, we're also going to notify the selling channel and customer instantly, or you can even choose to delay it. And we have a few different ways that you can delay it. You can do it by a number of hours from when the label is created. But the most popular that people really like is we actually keep track of, like I was saying earlier, of the package and where it's at. And from there, we'll actually, when it's en route to the customer, we'll finally send that notification. So that way, when they get the email, the tracking number is live, everything works. It's just a really nice process, because we've all been there before. When we've ordered something online, we get the tracking number, a couple hours later, and then it doesn't work for 3 days. I think that can be kind of frustrating, especially for a consumer. So it's kind of nice to be able to send that to them when it's actually working and they can see that it's on their way to them. But the biggest thing about automating, besides cutting out the amount of work you have to do by eliminating those manual decisions, is you're going to reduce costs, which kind of leads us into our next slide here. So by cutting out manual decisions, on the company end, what you're doing is essentially you're reducing the amount of errors you're making, which of course costs money, and you're reducing the amount of time you have to work, which gives you more time to focus on area or ways that you can grow your business in areas that you're maybe more passionate about. Maybe you want to expand your product line, do R&D into a new product, focus on your marketing, social media, things like that. You can actually now have the time back in your day to go ahead and do, instead of just having to always be, focusing on getting orders out the door. But when you eliminate those manual decisions too, there's a part on the customer end that's actually a pretty big deal. So when you're creating orders faster with less errors, you're also improving your fulfillment time and getting your orders out the door to your customer even quicker, which allows you to compete, with some of these bigger companies out there that offer 2-day shipping for free and things like that, and it allows you to be on par with them. You can also choose then, because you're now having fewer errors and fewer hours spent, and you have those savings, you can choose to pass those savings on to the customer in your actual shipping. So you can choose to be even more, like I was saying earlier, more competitive with like your fulfillment times. Your fulfillment costs can also start to compete with some of these companies out there that are offering free shipping, 2-day shipping, things like that at very low or no cost to the customer, low cost or no cost. So I think that's a really important part, because consumers are getting more and more used to that. But on top of it, you're also building customer loyalty, which is a huge deal. Being able to retain your customers, keep them happy. E-commerce, just by the nature of it, tends to be just a little transactional, and being able to build that loyalty, a brand that they like, and keep them, coming back, in the future is a huge deal. So by not making mistakes, getting them the right order the first time, getting it to them the correct way, maybe they paid for, expedited shipping. That's all huge, and on top of it, getting it to them as quickly as possible and at the best rate that actually is competitive with the rest of kind of the e-commerce market right now is a huge deal. And I think another way to kind of improve customer loyalty is through improving your communication and transparency with your customer. And there's one method that I've kind of worked out with some of our users that seems to work really, really well. And it's using just simple email templates and sending them throughout the order lifecycle. And that's what we're going to kind of talk about here, is when to send those emails. So the first one's going to be an order confirmation email. And that's going to be sent from basically either your marketplace or ShipStation once the order imports. You can choose to do it at either time. Typically, it's done at the marketplace. So the customer will get an email the second the order's placed saying, hey, thanks for your order. And then you can, from there, kind of describe what's going to happen in these next couple steps, which would be received by warehouse. So what's going to happen here is it's going to import into ShipStation and definitely send an email here saying, hey, we've received your order. This is how our shipping works. This is how our notifications go out. So don't be alarmed if you don't hear from us for, an extra day. It's not that we haven't gotten your order or haven't seen it. We have it. We're working on it. We've probably even shipped it, but we delay our notifications until they actually hit the mail stream. So that way you get a live tracking number. And you can even tell them, if we receive this by, Monday through Thursday before noon, it goes out same day. Friday typically will go out Monday, things like that. So yeah, you can even let them know how your warehouse operates a little bit. And what that's going to do is cut down on the amount of questions and support that you have to offer your customers and give them peace of mind. I think that's a really, really, really big deal, is being able to cut out any type of support that you would have to do normally just by sending out an email explaining what's going on. People like to know what's happening with their orders, and this is a really easy way to do it. All right. And the next one here is, of course, the shipment notification email, or when the order is en route to them. This is where you can say, hey, your order's been shipped. Here's your tracking number. Go ahead and keep an eye out for this order. If you are having any issues with it, once again, improving transparency and communication, here's how you can get a hold of us. Definitely do that if you have any questions in the meantime. But just to let you know, this is what's going on with your order and where it's at. And then the last thing is a delivery confirmation email, or the order's been delivered. And this is, I think, one that people overlook a lot, because it's super nice, because if there is an issue with the actual order itself, you can actually get that customer your support information, or your sales team's information to get in front of that problem that they're having. So instead of them having to hunt down your support number, your sales team, whatever it may be, all they have to do is say, hey, my order was delivered. I got that email, and they already let me know if there's a problem with it, to refer back to these lines of communication for or with them to get problems resolved. Because I think, in my personal experience, it's never the best experience I've had, like in retail and things like that, are when things don't go exactly as planned, but they've made it very clear on how they're going to resolve them, and they actually follow through. I think that's some of the most positive experience I've had. So being able to do something similar to that is a really, really big deal. So we've already kind of figured out how we're going to automate, consolidate, automate. We've figured out how we're going to improve our communication. And this is another simple way to really improve your communication with your customer, is just improving your branding on your shipment notification emails. ShipStation recently rolled out a feature a while back, I should say actually now, called the branded tracking page. And everything on the branded tracking page is completely customizable. You can upload your company's logo to it. You can have all your company's colors, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, websites, return policies, contact information, the text, the actual map here that you see, and the little lines that are running through it. Those are all customizable, and you can select different colors, and everything changes. We even have a really cool feature called the color sniffer, where it looks at your logo and the most used colors in it, and it recommends colors to you. Yeah, and it just allows you to basically, when you send out an email to your customers, instead of taking them to the carrier page, it takes them to this, so you're exposing your brand and your company to your customers instead of to a carrier directly. They still get all the same information, but it's really nice because it's formatted for web, desktop, and it's also formatted for mobile, as you can see here. So it works on the phone, it works on the computer. It doesn't, and you don't have to really do a whole lot of anything besides just upload your logo, upload a few links, and you're done. Awesome. Well, now it's time for, if you guys have questions, we got answers. So if you want, you can go ahead and put those into the question section. Oops, that was my bad. So if you have any, feel free to chat those in the control panel. And then from there, if you guys do have any questions, if you aren't using ShipStation currently but do have some questions, you can definitely reach out to sales@shipstation.com, and our pre-sales team will be more than happy to take care of you. If you're currently already using ShipStation, you can reach out to support@shipstation.com, and they'll be happy to help. And then for ChannelSale, if you have any, if you're needing anything from them, they have a phone number you can reach out to, as you can see here, the 866-709-9495. Or you can also reach out to info@channelsale.com if you have any questions there too, or need some support. So we're going to go ahead and hold on to the line for a few minutes and see if you guys have any questions. And if so, we'll be more than happy to answer those for you. So yeah, we're just going to hang out for a few and just be aware it doesn't need to be about selling channels or shipping. If you guys have any questions about corgis or motorcycles, I'm happy to answer those too.
Hey, thanks, Cubby. That was wonderful. So we have Matthew McCarthy, and he has a question earlier. So let me see if I can get him online.
Hello.
Hello, Matthew.
Hi.
Hey, how's it going today?
Oh, good. How are you?
Fantastic. Yeah, what's going on today, Matthew?
I'm sorry, I tried to type this in, and it's kind of hard to explain. But basically, we have hundreds of different SKUs that boil down to, for the sake of this conversation, we'll say 10 actual products.
Okay.
We're trying to find a software that is smart enough to say, these 75 SKUs are all this one product. So anytime we get an order for one of these 75 SKUs, we'd like to ship out this one product. Is that something that ShipStation does?
Yeah, so what we can do is, if we have what are like what we call SKU aliases, so you can actually set up all your various SKUs and have like the parent SKU, we'd call it. So that way, that would kind of be like the master SKU, and then you could assign all the other various SKUs underneath, and then you could literally do a handful of different levels of automation, just depending on what you would want to do. I think the simplest there would just be to tag those products and then create an automation for them. Just be like, here you go. This is the one tag that applies to these items, and you can do that in bulk, so it's really easy. And you can even do it when you import the items at that time, so it's not even like a major hassle or headache. It's just you can do it upon import if you want. And then, yeah, from there you could create an automation rule that says, if you see this tag, go ahead and ship it this way.
Okay. And theoretically, they say if we get this order from Amazon, Amazon doesn't care that technically another SKU shipped out as long as my customer gets its product, correct?
Correct. All they care about, because Amazon's going to see that SKU that they currently assign to it, and they're going to associate it with that order. So when you fulfill that order through ShipStation, all they're going to see is that the order and the item on it was complete. So as long as the product that's actually being fulfilled is the exact same one that's being offered, they don't care that normally that's not your standard SKU for it.
Okay.
Yeah, and you could definitely do that. That's no problem at all.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you, Matthew. We have Lasagna next. So let me see if I can get Lasagna online. She had a question on branding.
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How are you today?
I'm fine. How are you?
Oh, it's a beautiful day in Texas.
Okay. Okay, so my question is on branding. I see where you post an image of the phone and the app where you could use to add like your Facebook page or your website. Yes. Could you pull on a little bit further on that for me?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Could you give me a little bit more or go over the information that you gave on Brand Like a Champion?
Yeah, definitely. So like for here, yeah, like on our branded tracking page, what we do is anytime you set up a store, each store has its own unique logo that you can assign to it, its own social media accounts, website, return policies, contact information. All of that's unique to the store. So that way, just like with the branded tracking page with the colors, we automatically take all that information when you set up the store and assign it to your emails and packing slips and things like that. And then if you wanted to use the branded tracking page, that is also per store. And you can assign colors and yeah, different attributes there to each of the branded tracking pages. So they all don't have to be the exact same. And they can, you know, show each unique store that you may have running online. Instead of being like an account-wide setting, this can be store-specific.
Okay.
Yeah, so we basically just when you set those up, ask you if to input a little bit of information, and then from there we automatically generate these emails once it's enabled.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lasagna. And Cubby, we have Scott next.
Yeah, so I'm looking at Scott's right now. How far can we go with the branded pages and still stay compliant with Amazon's terms? So with that, we actually really limit what communication happens with Amazon and the customers that are ordering from you, because we do want you to stay compliant. Pretty much what we do is we don't send any notifications to Amazon customers directly. We let Amazon handle that just due to how they prefer to handle things. But if it's for things like a return label and such, you can have Amazon authorize those. It's pretty easy to have them do that. Basically, just let them know I will be generating some return labels from here and sending over, return labels to my customers via email. But for the most part, Amazon handles all the communication. So natively, without you having to set anything up, we don't send communication to them, to the customers that order off Amazon.
Yeah, I was just wondering specifically about the social media links.
Okay.
And how Amazon particularly views those.
Yeah, so with that, since we're not sending out any communication on our side for Amazon customers, they won't even see this branded tracking page. So you could have it set up to send from like your eBay or Shopify, Magento, wherever it may be, any of all the different marketplaces. But for Amazon specifically, we don't send it because we want you to stay compliant with them, because we've seen in the past that'd be an issue for users where they're on another system where they didn't realize they weren't allowed to do that, and then got a little bit of a salty email from Amazon letting them know they needed to stop or they weren't going to be able to continue selling.
Yeah, we use third-party email software to communicate the tracking information to consumers. I just didn't know what Amazon's policy was on providing them this link to a third party. If they click through their tracking information, and it comes up here. So this wouldn't pop up on an Amazon customer by chance?
It would not.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, and I see right now So we actually do allow multiple warehouses right now, because you can create multiple ship from locations. I was looking at that question too.
Yeah.
So yeah, so we definitely already have that where you can have multiple ship from locations in warehouse, and those can be specific to each store that you may have. So you could have maybe 3 stores being ran out of one location, and so
Right.
you can set up 3 different ship from locations to fulfill each of those stores, to have the correct branding on the return part of the address and things like that. Or if you're fulfilling from 5 different locations for 5 different stores or 1 different store, yeah, you can definitely do that too.
Yeah. And so we kind of have that kind of worked out, not really well. But I was talking to Nick at a road show a year and a half ago, and he thought we were pretty close to being able to get kits and more formal purchase orders.
Yeah, that's something I know that we were working on and discussing heavily. And what we're doing right now is kind of making sure before we roll any new features out that it's 100% exactly what we want our consumers to have and our users to be able to take advantage of.
Okay. So
Yep.
no timeline you're giving me on that?
I don't have an ETA on that right now at all. Unfortunately for me, I'm on the biz dev side of things, so I handle mostly carriers nowadays. So I'm not too hands-on with product launches and ETAs on dev releases, but I know we are actively working on those.
Okay.
Yep. Awesome. Do we
Thanks,
have any?
Scott.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you. And yeah, do we have any other questions out there?
Yeah, I believe Matthew did come back. So let me get Matthew. Hello, Matthew. Can you hear us?
I can, thank you. So my question was, as a follow-up to my earlier question about the alternate SKUs, I think you called them.
Yeah.
When we set that up, our next step as a company will be Amazon multi-channel fulfillment.
Okay.
So we're gonna put all of our product in Amazon and let them ship it out. Is it possible to have ShipStation as kind of a center point for us, so it gets the orders, it changes it to that alternate SKU, and then spits it out to Amazon that we would rather that alternate SKU be shipped out? Or do you know?
Yeah, so what we do, if it's like the same product, and you're using FBA and they're fulfilling it for you, is that what you're describing there?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we actually can house 2 different SKUs for orders. We have what is like your normal SKU that shows up, and Amazon doesn't really necessarily care about that a whole lot. What they really care about if they're fulfilling it for you is we have a section called a fill SKU. And that's like a fulfillment SKU that says, okay, if the fill SKU is 1, 2, 3, and what you're telling Amazon is, this fill SKU I send you is 1, 2, 3 is actually that SKU ABC that you're holding for me. And they just correlate up.
Oh,
and
perfect.
That's how they know what to fulfill for you. Yeah,
So
and you
is
can
it possible? Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, yeah, so you can set up that fulfillment SKU to just be assigned to the product itself. So there's the standard SKU, fulfillment SKU, and then you can set it up to where if that SKU imports, you could, tag it or anything like that, and you could have it automatically send to FBA, and you could select the service level and everything and just automatically submit. So you never even have to look at those orders. They just import into ShipStation, and then they just get sent straight to Amazon based on some of the rules you set up for it.
Okay, so then is it possible to have that alternate SKU as also our fulfillment SKU?
So the fill SKUs typically come from Amazon, so they don't necessarily care about that main SKU. But yeah, you could assign like all those different SKUs to have that same fill SKU. So let's say you have 10 different SKUs, and they maybe 4 of them are going to be fulfilled by Amazon. 4 selling channels might be fulfilled by Amazon there, or all 10. You could assign those fill SKUs to those 10 items, and you can do it in bulk, just like I was saying earlier, like with tags and stuff. And you could, basically, upon import of those 10 products, could, assign that fill SKU and have no problem having those sent over to Amazon whenever you needed.
All right, so 2 more questions. The process that you just described, that's done within ShipStation?
Yeah, the fill SKU, like assigning that.
Yeah.
Or like, yeah. So we have a product, ImportExport. So you just import your products, and we give you like a nice CSV template. And you can assign what the SKU names are, and then you can assign like the fill SKUs, anything else that you may need. It's relatively easy. And then the second process that I was describing, automating it, is done through like an automation role where you can have it automatically set up to fulfill. And you could definitely do that.
All right, so the last question then is, as I go to set this up, when I inevitably have issues and need somebody to talk to walk me through it, who do I call?
Yeah, so that's an excellent question, because have you started using ShipStation yet, or are you looking at it right now?
We use it very elementary. We use it, we get all of our Amazon orders imported into it, and then we use it to ship out. Eventually, we will use it as our hub to all the other marketplaces, but we're in testing mode right now.
Gotcha. Okay. How long ago did you start using ShipStation?
I believe it was in January, maybe February.
Gotcha. Yeah, so for that, our support team is going to be a really great resource. They're truly excellent at what they do. And you can even set up times to like speak with them. So we don't have like an inbound phone line, but they will like schedule a call with you if you need one, things like that, just because their day super lean in the amount of time they have like in between different parts of what they're doing, like between chat, email, making phone calls. But they'll definitely schedule a call with you, spend 15-20 minutes working out an issue with you and going over things like that. So that way, you can get those set up. And typically the way I recommend doing it is going in and like sending in an email like, hey, I'm going to need help with getting some fill SKUs set up, or importing my products, or automating the fulfillment by Amazon. Have them send you some articles, look it over, so that way you're not going into it blind and then be like, hey, I've looked these over. I think I have this. I would just like to set up a brief call to make sure I'm doing this absolutely correct.
Perfect.
And that's typically the best way. So that way you're not spending, going in there blind and spending a ton of time on the phone. Instead, you can look over those articles real briefly, get an understanding of it, and then spend way less time in the long run working with them to get it set up properly.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you, Matthew and Cubby. So I guess that's it from the presentation point of view and the question and answers. So if you guys have any questions, you can surely drop us an email on info@channelsale.com. And on behalf of the ChannelSale team, I would like to thank all you guys for attending this webinar, and Cubby for the wonderful presentation.
Yeah, thank you guys. Yeah, thank you for having me today, and thank you for everyone for taking some time out of their busy days to join us on this webinar. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Cubby. Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye, everyone.